This is the Breakfast Club with Nick and Jackie on Rodney's More FM. We have Richard Worker, our very, very fine resident lawyer who's based in Silverdale. The legalteam.co.nz is the website if you want to go check them out. Or if you've got any questions for them, rodney@morefm.co.nz. Richard, I've got a question for you, anonymously, that we're going to be putting to you. I bought a car privately and now I'm being contacted by a repossession agent to uplift the car. Do I have to let them have it? Good question.
Hi Nick.
Yeah.
Yes, it breaks my heart, to be honest. A kid's saved, been working, has saved money to buy a car. They go and buy their dream car privately. Now, if they had bought from a registered motor vehicle dealer, then it is protected. But if you buy privately and there is finance on that car, then that finance company has a better claim to the car than you do. So what you have to do if you are buying privately is to do a search of the what's called the PPSR, and that is where registrations of securities against motor vehicles and or against a person are made. It must be searched. I've just had this case quite recently. Somebody bought a $30,000 car. We believe about $20,000 of tick on it, and the car is being repossessed. It's really hard to get around once you've done it. The person to whom the money was paid, the owner, has gone to Australia and doesn't want to know anything about it. I mean, it's a straight out fraud, basically, but I mean, what do? It becomes a civil issue. Because trying to track them down and trying to get them to repay is just so difficult. The answer is no. You don't have a better claim against the car than the company with finance on it. I tried to deal with the finance company to see whether we could come to some sort of arrangement, but and it drove me mad. The finance company was saying, under the Privacy Act, I don't have authority to talk to them. I would need consent from the person who's actually done the runner to Australia, and of course he doesn't want to be found, he doesn't want to be seen. I can't get that consent. And so I think quite unreasonably the finance company is just sitting on its digs and saying, we're going to uplift the car. You know, there is an act called the Contracts Commercial Law Act where the court can give what we call as equitable relief, which means relief in fairness. But again, you've got to go to the district court. You know, it could take 6 months, it could cost you $10,000, and most people just don't have the wherewithal or the heart to actually go through with that. So the answer is, if you're buying a car privately, before you pay for it, you must do a search of the PPSR, and that can be done through various ways. But just, I mean, a lawyer can do it for you, but you don't need to go to a lawyer. It can be done by a private company or something like that. But honestly, it just breaks my heart. These poor kids, they've done the right thing. They've saved up money. They've bought their first car, and the repossession people turn up. And the repossession people, while they have quite a hard job to do, they're not the nicest people in the world necessarily, because they have to uplift that car, and of course nobody wants to give them up. So there is a bit of a headbutting going on.
And also if they're lenient on one, then they expect it for another, and that's kind of where do you draw the line. And so if someone was to even just to Google, how do I look for or look at a PPSR, that's easy to find
I'm
online.
sure it is. There are all sorts of ways of doing that.
If you've got any more questions, the legalteam.co.nz. Richard and his team, they're based in Silverdale. Implore you to go and check them out. They're very, very good indeed. And if you've got any questions as well that you want me to put to Richard live on air, rodney@morefm.co.nz. Richard Worker, thank you so much for coming in.
Nice to see you, Nick.